Dauros rambles about P&P RPGs featuring spiritual guidance from Carlito. It's
Wisdom Save!
Hello, and welcome to Wisdom Save. I'm Carlito, and this is Dauros, and we'll be going over some of the finer elements of starting up your own D&D campaign or Pathfinder, whatever P&P system you're working on. So, what's the first thing you're considering as you start this?
Well, when you're running a game, you want to consider your audience. You have to know who you're running for. It could be friends who just want to get together on a Saturday night, have some drinks and mess around, or it could be a more serious group who wants to do something emulating, say, like a political thriller in a novel or something like that.
It's a matter of whether they're living it or whether they're just kind of getting some steam off or whatever.
There's a difference between people who want to run Conan and people who want to run Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I can see that. So, based on your friends, what kind of setup are you going for?
Yeah, like you have to pick a different system, a role-playing game system, depending on what you want to run. Some people will run something that's much lighter and more humor-heavy. There are things like Made RPG, for example, that aren't very serious at all.
Right.
Then there are things like GURPS, which is very number-crunchy, very system-intensive. And then there are things like Fate, which are very narrative and don't have a lot of robust mechanics.
Right. I know we've done that with World of Darkness before, which is more storytelling.
Yes. And currently we're playing Star Wars, which is more narrative-based with the dice results.
Right.
In this case, what I'm running is, I'm using Pathfinder. It's a system I'm comfortable with. I'm a big fan of high fantasy. It lets me do what I want, and I understand the system intrinsically enough to work from there. If you're newer to it, find a system that sounds appealing to you and go from there.
And just read up on all your details. Maybe talk to somebody who's done that system before.
The internet is full of people who will tell you why their pet system is the one you should use.
Exactly. So where is this Pathfinder campaign going?
This setting that I kind of came up with is that I wanted to use a theme of draconic overlords, sort of a feudal lord to peasant sort of thing.
Right.
So in this case, they'd be starting with a new dragon who's just trying to get their rise to power. And so the players would be working as like high-ranking commanders under them, so to speak. But at the very beginning, so they're the lackeys who eventually get promotions based on their ability.
So it's the equivalent of starting off in a mafia that they can never totally rise through because everybody else is going to be higher because they're closer to the dragons.
Yes. So that means the players are going to have multiple roles. They're going to be generals and planners. They're going to lead people in battle and plan out like settlements and the like. And then they're also going to be the diplomats and ambassadors. They're going to go and talk to other dragons and make political deals and stuff. And then obviously, because it's a Pathfinder game, there will be combat, so they will have sort of a special ops role. Infiltrate layers, bases, headquarters, that sort of thing.
So that's the basic, is dragon on dragon, and they have to serve as the underlings for those dragons. And based on what your characters want to run, there will always be a role available to help out in that group.
Yes. The dragons essentially can't go mano a mano. That's just chaos. They're civilized people. But they can use mortals who are just pigs rutting in the dirt.
So it's kind of like, what was that, the Greek mythology where they couldn't directly interact, but they would hire or influence mortals to do their work for them?
Where Zeus would use mortals to tick off Hades?
Exactly. Pretty much. Okay, so where is all of that happening?
I was planning on having it take place in like a archipelago sort of thing surrounding a central storm. So you have islands farther out, which are very well developed, and then islands farther in are more tribal and lower civilization because they're dealing with much more violent weather, which just makes it harder to develop. So having an archipelago means I can sort of run this whole game as modular in nature. So you go to one island, and I kind of know what that island's going to entail.
Right.
They can't just run off suddenly to another island without at least giving me a chance to plan for it, because they have to ride on a boat, and stuff has to happen to get there.
Exactly. Or either that, or you can sort of throw them where they need to be by giving them an event where they're riding to a different island, or they're being transported by, say, some kind of magic or whatever. That makes sense to me. So, how long has that hierarchy been around? Has that always been a thing, or...?
In this setting, yes, the dragons would have essentially been born to the great dragon and thought, us fighting together is a terrible way to do things. We will make lesser peoples to do it for us. So, humans, elves, kobolds, the whole lot of them.
Right, so there's a hierarchy system based on race, essentially.
Yes, so then dragon-blooded, like half-dragons and stuff, actually are higher ranked. Now, some people would say, oh, well, that means kobolds, for those who know the usual mythology in D&D and Pathfinder, that kobolds tend to pride themselves on draconic heritage. But in this, they're thralls. They're essentially a punishment on another mortal, transforms them into a kobold.
So then what can we expect next time?
Well, next time I'm going to try and cover NPCs, locations, encounters, essentially your first quest structure to try and get the players to meet up, work together, and hopefully kind of see where the game's going so they know what to expect.
Sounds good to me. Thanks for watching this first episode of Wisdom Save. I'm Carlito.
I'm Dauros.
And make sure you like, subscribe, and all that other YouTube stuff. Check us out on Colorado Nerd Emporium and any of our other social media that's super easy to find if you can spell the word Emporium. Thanks, and see you next time.